Welcome to this special edition of Real 9.
Welcome to Real 9, a podcast devoted to obscure cinema. Hosted by horror enthusiasts, Creepy Uncle Kevin, and Dungeon Dan. On Real 9, we bring you the facts, the news, the reviews, and the fun. This is Real 9!
Hello and welcome to Real 9. I'm Dungeon Dan.
And I'm Creepy Uncle Kevin.
And today's subject, Kevin and I are going to be talking about the director Dario Argento.
A film by Dario Argento.
Yes, we are. And by the way, for more information on this guy, because there's a ton, he's made a bunch of movies, he's been around forever. There's some good books. One's called Broken Mirrors, Broken Minds, The Dark Dreams of Dario Argento, written by a female author, Marilyn McDonough, or something like that. There's going to be a lot of mispronunciations throughout this podcast because, I live in California, and the farthest I ever got out of here is Vegas. Made in USA, bitch! And I don't know how to say these names.
He isn't even Italian, and you're making him risk his life. Somebody's already tried to kill him once.
Kevin, you're doing the hardest work because I cannot say these names. I just sit here and let you do it.
Apologies in advance, but there's another book called Art of Darkness. Both these books are good. I got these two. Art of Darkness, and it's got this beautiful collection, all the promotional stills. The art's really good, and it's a collection of essays written by this guy named Chris Gallant. And then there's another book called Profondo Rosso by Alan Jones, which I don't have, but I've seen it, and I'd like to have it because it looks good.
Understand what I'm saying?
Also, there's the documentaries that I think we've seen all three of them. I know I have. You've seen them probably. There's Dario Argento's World of Horror, which is really good. It's directed by Michele Sovi, the director of Della Morte dell'Amore, The Sect, and Stage Fright. There's another one directed by Luigi Cozzi, the director of Alien Contamination. It's called Master of Horror. That one's I don't like that one that much. The quality of it's kind of poor.
Yeah, I agree.
It follows up to Trauma on that one. And then there's a newer one called Eye for Horror that I believe was done for IFC about 10 years ago or something. And it's all right. There's some interviews with Romero and Carpenter and Alice Cooper. And the best part is there's interviews with Argento and, of course, Dario Argento.
I've never seen that one. Never saw
it's
that
good.
one. I have the other two.
Yeah, you can see that on YouTube. Just look that up, and it's on there, perfect copy, like HD. It's 57 minutes long, and there's no commercials. It's good. A little more background on Dario Argento. He was born September 7th in 1940 in Rome. His mother was Brazilian, which is kind of interesting because I always thought he was just a pure Italian, but he's half Brazilian, guys. And his mother was a photographer. His father was a film producer named Salvatore Argento. He produced Argento's first 8 movies until I guess he passed away, and he also produced 7 films for other filmmakers. In high school, Dario Argento was a film critic writing for various magazines. He did not attend college. His first job was as a columnist at a newspaper called Passisetta or something like that, and he was writing movie reviews as well. He has 2 kids from Daria Nicolodi, the actress he met on the set of Profondo Rosso, also known as Deep Red. And he has 2 children from her. One's named Fiora Argento, who appears being decapitated in Phenomena. That's her only role in his films. Daria Nicolodi, the girl that he was with, she's in a bunch of his movies, from Deep Red till Phenomena when they broke up.
God damn you, bitch!
His daughter, Ozzy Argento, actress, director, singer, DJ. I don't know what she's doing. Tattoo artist or something, too.
She
Model.
does everything.
Right. It's pretty intense. Real name, her real born name is Aria Maria Victoria Rosa Argento.
PronounceNames.com.
Wow.
How did they're all, what do you want to name her, honey? No wonder they argued.
Yeah,
you know?
let's just pick 10 names and make it
Aria
one.
Maria Victoria Rosa Argento. She just fucking call me
Asia Argento.
Good choice.
Argento's first writing job or writing gig was as a screenwriter with Bernardo Bertolucci for Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. Wow. Big gig for him. And then his directorial debut was the 1970 giallo film Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which he also wrote, and it was a major hit in Italy, spawning 2 more, not sequels, but they're associated by title. They're called his Animal Trilogy. So it's Bird with the Crystal Plumage, followed by The Cat o' Nine Tails, and then Four Flies on Grey Velvet. After that, he went away from giallo films, and he tried making 2 Italian TV dramas, which I haven't seen, and a period comedy called The 5 Days of Milan, in Milan, 1973. I saw that one, and, well, doesn't feel like an Argento movie at all. It's just really, really weird to watch. In 1975, he returned with Deep Red. In 1977, he co-wrote a movie called Suspiria with Dario Nicolodi. I can't say it correctly. And it was after this when he started to produce a lot of movies. And this is something that we want to talk about because, unfortunately, for the sake of the podcast, we decided together not to include the movies that he produced. No. Even though they would be in our top 7. Because we chose to do top 7. See, I'm explaining this. We were going to do top 5, right, Dan?
Yeah, and then I decided 5's not enough, 10's too many.
10 would be like half of his movies. So
yeah, so 7's a good number for this one.
So we decided on 7, but we had to cut out some of the films he produced. Because he produced George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. He also did the 2 Demons movies, which are legendary, directed by Lamberto Bava, son of Mario Bava. And he produced The Church. I know you love that one, Dan.
I do.
And he produced The Sect, also known as The Devil's Daughter, which I love. Yeah, Scarlet Diva and The Wax Mask. Those are all really good movies. Anyway, then he went on to make Inferno and Tenebrae and Phenomena and Stendhal Syndrome. It was about in 96 after this where critics call it his decline. They say that the quality of his filmmaking changed after Stendhal Syndrome when he went on to make Phantom of the Opera. And it's kind of true. It's sort of just weird how there's a different change in that time period. Anyway, so that's sort of a quick background on Dario Argento. And as I say, you can check out these books, look them up, and those documentaries are really good. World of Horror and Eye for Horror are interesting. For the sake of the podcast, we went over the 23 directorial credits he has, and we chose to pick our top 7. Sounds pretty exciting.
It is.
Are you ready, Dan?
I'm ready.
I think you should start this party with your number 7.
Okay. My number 7 is Trauma.
Dario Argento's Trauma.
Some other soul is here with us tonight.
Trauma, not on my list.
Hey, I'm going to stop you there, Danny boy.
Not at all.
No, it would rank like a number 9 on my list. But I like it. I like it a lot. And one of the reasons I like it is because there's some weird shit going on with Dario Argento's character in it. In that Argento himself has said that it's his most personal film. This movie, an opera, there's a character in opera that plays the director. He says that that's written based on himself. And he also said that Dario Argento as a kid in this movie is based on him as a child.
In what way?
And well, that's what he said. It's the closest movie. The way she is reflects me as a child. And the way she is she has an eating disorder, she's escaped a clinic, and she has a drug problem. I don't know what's up with that. And then I also noticed that Suspiria is based on some weird essays by this guy who was strung out on opium. And so it just seems like there's some sort of details, like maybe Argento had a bout with, this small stint in his life where he experimented with drugs and kind of lost his way, I think.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah. But what is Trauma kind of about? I know that
it's about a serial killer, and that he's played by Brad Dourif. And
Brad Dourif, Chucky.
Yeah. So basically, a teenage girl is in a hospital after witnessing the murder of her parents by Brad Dourif. So a young guy is helping her, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to find the serial killer before the killer can find them.
Because someone is watching.
And your friend may be in real danger.
Someone is waiting.
Were they lovers?
Lovers.
Someone who knows the past cannot be forgotten.
They were decapitating.
And what I really loved about this movie was the serial killer's choice of weapon. It was just this motorized wire device that he puts it around your neck and turns the motor on, and it just doesn't stop pulling in until it's cut through your skin and your spinal cord, and your head is just basically lopped off.
It's a clean decapitation.
Yeah, well, I don't know about clean, but it's a slow way to go. I mean, could you imagine how much that's going to hurt?
It seems like a straight cut. after the heads are severed. I love the opening kill when he kills that black girl. I forget if she's a nurse or something, but they cut to the bird in the cage watching. Argento does that a lot in his movies. It seems it's a tribute sort of to his original Animal trilogy, where he cuts to animals looking like that. He says he does it in each one of his movies too. In his current films, he does little shots that'll represent something from his previous work, and he does it in this one.
See, I kind of thought that that he was putting the bird shots in there to kind of lessen on the gore of the murder. That's the way I always took it. Kind of like, in the old days when people were going to have sex, all of a sudden it just panned up to a painting and faded out.
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
He does it on purpose. He cuts to the lizard on purpose and everything because phenomena. And then this movie also has her name is Piper Laurie.
Piper Laurie.
And Piper Laurie.
Piper Laurie.
Peter Laurie.
Peter Laurie was this weird bug-eyed looking guy.
Right. Completely different.
Yeah, she gets her head hacked off in this movie.
Yeah, and she plays some sort of psychic, too, just like the girl in Deep Red. Another reoccurring theme.
Much of what I do comes from dreams. That's
true. She was helping him try to find I guess she was connecting with the serial killer in a way. But, yeah, that turns bad for her.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That's the first, I think, American film that Argento did, too, where he actually shot it, and it was an American production. He had some problems with that as well. I've read the screenplay. The screenplay is horribly written, and it's written by him, but it's in English, and he can't write in English very well.
Uh-huh.
It's freaking, it's like it's written by a 12-year-old or something.
Why wouldn't he just write it in his native language and have it translated?
I have no idea.
Must go back to that little drug thing.
Right. So my number 7 is the Stendhal syndrome.
The Stendhal syndrome, a spine-chilling excursion into a world of unrestrained terror.
Oh, that's a great movie. It's on my list.
That one's twisted too. Even before this podcast, I had to look it up on IMDb to get the description. A young policewoman slowly goes insane while tracking down an elusive serial rapist/killer through Italy while she finds herself becoming a victim of the brutal man's obsession. And so Asia Argento is playing the policewoman, and she suffers from the Stendhal syndrome, which is basically you going through this kind of hallucinatory state, mental meltdown while looking at great pieces of art. And once the serial killer notices that she has these spells, he takes advantage of it and decides to rape her during these times.
Stendhal syndrome.
So fucked. Sounds like weirder and weirder. It's actually even based on a novel, and it's pretty well shot. They have the director of photography. I guess his name's Giuseppe Rotuno or something. I can never. Why do we even do this, Dan? Let's talk about all these people whose names we can't pronounce. The farthest I got from California is Vegas. I can't frickin' say all these people's names.
He isn't even Italian.
And now you know why I'm quiet so much, because I'm letting you struggle through this, so I don't have to deal with it.
Right. Well, the same director of photography did All That Jazz and Adventures of Baron Munchausen and Wolf and even Red Sonja. And one of the cool things about this movie and a few of the other Argento films is he actually scored a soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, the Academy Award-winning composer who did Hateful Eight and Fistful of Dollars and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
His music's iconic.
Yep. That's amazing that Argento was able to score him. And again, we have Asia Argento in this movie as well, not getting murdered. So in the previous one, he has his daughter in it playing this drug addict who saw her parents get murdered. And now in this one, she plays this girl who gets repeatedly raped by this serial killer.
Yeah.
And, what's going on with that?
And having all the crazy illusions when she looks at the art. I mean, any art, statues, paintings, they all come to like this weird life.
And I entered a painting. It was as if I was suddenly immersed in it. I know it sounds crazy.
What happened to you in the Uffizi is known as the Stendhal syndrome.
The fish.
The fish. The fish with the lips. Oh,
what's up with that?
She was brilliant. That's what's up with it.
All of a sudden, Bill Cosby fish comes up to her and starts making out with Asia Argento. It's creepy.
It looked weird. I wonder what it was like to film that. The
idea is weird. Now for the scene where, what are we doing?
You're going to kiss a fish with lips, and then you're going to get raped again.
I said get your fucking pants down, now!
Okay!
That had to be in the novel.
I don't know. I really don't know.
The rape scene in it is horrific because she suffers from this art spell thing, and the serial killer takes her into this kind of like a storm drain where there's graffiti everywhere, and so that gets to her, and she starts hallucinating kind of like this Rosemary's Baby sort of scene with this graffiti demon guy coming out and raping her. And there's all this stuff with razor blades. The whole movie is hideous, and I think it's probably the hardest movie to recommend out of the Argento movies. That's why it's at a number 7, because it's the only film where he deals with rape and razor blades, and where it's kind of just
you can't even imagine
downright seedy and sleazy and kind of gross.
Yeah, it's not a feel-good movie. It's not even a feel-good horror movie. It's just a wow. This was it was a head trip, and you know I like seeing her naked, but wow, that was just too much for me.
And just totally original. I've never seen anything like that.
No, that was a first, and that's it's higher on my list, and it's something I want to pick up on Blu-ray. Apparently, there's a special edition of it out there.
Yeah, and it's even weirder because you can look it up and it exists. That really happens?
Yeah, it's a real disease.
Yep.
People actually walk through life. Well, I mean, I'm sure they're not getting raped, but but yeah, they have this problem. Their mind just goes nuts and fuses all this weird art into whatever they're doing. I never thought it. I thought it was just the name of the movie, but researching it when it first came out, that's when I found out, hey, this is real stuff. People suffer from this.
That's a fact!
And there is no cure, as far as I know.
There is no cure?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't looked it up for years, but at the time, it's like Munchausen's disease. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Oh, well, that's something that's incurable, too. And people that have that, they have a rough life.
That's a fact!
I know what could cure it. Just watch Dario Argento's The Card Player, and you won't hallucinate at all. There's nothing artsy about it.
That's a fact!
I've never seen that movie.
Fact!
I know you've talked to me about it before, but I have never actually watched that one. There are several of his movies I've never watched.
It doesn't feel like an Argento movie at all. But whatever. All right, so you already picked one that's not on my list. Let's see what you got for number 6.
Number 6. Number 6 is a collaboration. I like Two Evil Eyes.
Edgar Allan Poe, the writer who first gave fear a face. Dario Argento and George Romero, these twisted minds in horror movies, all three united to make a film that will blow your peace of mind to pieces.
For me,
the second one.
It has a whole bunch of top name people in it, but for me, it's the one where Tom Savini got to do a really cool pendulum murder, and the body that they built and the way they did it, it was crazy. It was just crazy.
Crazy.
And we get to see Harvey Keitel get impaled.
Uh-huh. Yeah, nobody came through this movie very well, did they?
Nope.
Adrienne Barbeau's in it. She got killed too.
Oh yeah, I forgot she's in it. Your Lady from the Fog, your favorite.
My
movie
Lady
of all time.
from the Fog.
Yeah. No, that movie's fun. It's, I think that there were supposed to be 3 stories to it originally. They were going to have Wes Craven direct one. Or I believe that Argento wanted to do it. Wes Craven, John Carpenter, George Romero, and Dario Argento all do Edgar Allan Poe stories. And the 2 dropped out for whatever reasons. And the movie became a hell of a lot cheaper to make with just Romero and Argento.
Right, because they're not big budget type of directors. I mean, they make great movies, but you get
charge much.
You get Wes Craven in there, man. You might as well throw John Carpenter in there for his, I'll walk on set for $10 million.
Right. That's what, like John Carpenter. Oh, we're going to go on that again. You know how he wanted $10 million to direct H2O. He's not a $10 million director. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
So no, Two Evil Eyes is good. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, and there's not a lot to really say about it. If all I can say is if you haven't watched it, it's out there. You can get it off Amazon. You could probably even find it on the internet, but it's
like
worth watching.
2 really good Masters of Horror episodes put together, pretty much, for an Edgar Allan Poe thing.
Agreed. And
it's
if you're a fan of Tom Savini,
2 45-minute stories. And of course, the Savini effects, the chick stuck in the wall with those rats eating her.
Oh man!
Or not rats. I'm sorry, cats.
Yeah, they were cats. But when we get to see her, she's just She's mummified, decomposed. Even the rats are like hairless. I mean, not the rats, the cats.
It's a fucking cat! Meow! Meow!
Whatever those things were. Fangoria had an issue come out when that movie was out, and that's one of my favorite ones because they have really good detailed pictures of it. And I've seen a documentary where they actually, they're on set with it.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
They have that prop on display in Argento's museum or his little store called Profondo Rosso. That's in Italy. He has a store in Italy, everyone, by the way, called Profondo Rosso, and it's not all that. I've seen pictures of it. It's just kind of like a little horror store.
It's small. It's a tiny little place. I've never been, but it was in one of his documentaries that I saw, and I'm just like, wow, that's little.
I know. When I heard about it, I was like, fuck yeah, this has got to be huge. It's going to be like the amoeba of Argento stores, like this huge Fry's electronic size horror warehouse. Instead,
can you imagine flying to Italy just to go there? And I mean, you walk in, you're like, what the fuck? You guys just selling gum in here or what?
Yeah, the coffee shop's bigger than this fucking jib joint. Go down in the basement, you can see that freaking latex, foam latex prop rotting away.
Exactly.
20 years ago.
They don't last forever, man.
Right.
So, what's your number 6?
My number 6, I assume, is on your list. Phenomena.
Okay.
Keepers.
It did not make my list.
Wow.
It was a hard decision. Again, it's been on my list, but it's gotten bumped. It's a good movie.
What a weirdo.
But I liked other things better.
No business, junkyard motherfucker!
It's shot by this guy whose name is Romano Albani. He also shot Inferno and the horrible movies Troll and Terror Vision, which is hilarious. I don't think his filmography isn't that impressive. One of the things I didn't like too much about the movie, even though other people like it, is that he had soundtracks by Iron Maiden comes in and Motorhead is on there. They were effective at the time, and for me, it really took away from the movie. It made me step away from the film, and I felt like I was watching a movie. It just didn't make sense. I wasn't in suspense hearing the riff of, the flash of the blade as the girl was running. Good song. I'm not saying a bad song. I just don't want it in my Argento movie. I'm
going to tell you the same exact thing. I'm a fan of both those bands, but it was
like
so out of place in this movie. It was just literally out of place, and it did, for me, it pulled me out of what was happening, because I'm just like, why am I listening to Motorhead?
Yeah. It just seems strange. But the whole thing with the bugs, and what I especially love is the ending. When we get to the house, and we have Dario Nicolodi's character, and the girl is just stuck in that big vat of rotting corpses in the mud filled with maggots.
Disgusting.
And she's just screeching up there, and the other, the detective is caught all chained to the wall and has to break his hand and do all these gnarly things to escape. I just think the ending is so insane. When the monkey comes out, and then the other guy gets... Just by the end, it's just everything's gone to all hell. Yep. And of course, the mystery of it, which I think was it was just too much in scope. Because, all right, well, what the movie's about, let's see, I'll read this description. A young girl with the ability to communicate with insects is transferred to an exclusive Swiss boarding school where her unusual capability might help her solve a string of murders. So what happens is she meets, I guess it's an entomologist. What do you call those people? Bug people.
I think you got it right.
Entomologist.
I'm not going to try to say it.
Okay.
But
who's played by Donald Pleasance, which is nice to see him in it, Mr. Halloween guy. And then we have a young 16-year-old Jennifer Connelly in it.
Was that like her first movie or something? Big movie?
That's her first movie. And Argento's later quoted that he thought that she was the sexiest in his film Phenomena when she was 16, and everyone was like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
I love you. I love you all.
Great, another pedophile.
Right. It's like, that was her best. But the interaction with her, the emptyologist.
Let's call him
the bug
people.
doctor.
There you go. See,
the bug doctor.
Just give everybody a nickname. You'll be fine.
Bud man. No, bug. We're thinking of a different phenomena. But her and the bug guy, the relationship and how they use the bugs to solve these mysteries. And they actually, he had to have all these insects on set and film all these awesome close-ups and deal with monkeys. It's pretty crazy. And I think they did a really good job at pulling it off. I love that movie. I was actually struggling on where to put it. I'm surprised it didn't make it in your top 7. But, you've made a lot of mistakes so far on your list, so I expect more.
Oh, shut up. My list is always my list. But that would have been like my number 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like the movie. I liked some other ones better.
Okay. Well, let's hear it. Number 5. Stay Alive.
My number 5 is Stendhal Syndrome.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it enough to put it as number 5. So since we've talked about it, what's your number 5?
Gosh, I thought I had a break.
No, not yet.
It is his first movie, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Really?
Yep. Got to put it up there. It's one of the movies that, out of the list, I would say it doesn't even kind of fit. It feels kind of like a Hitchcockian movie. People will say that always, just because it's a mystery. A murder mystery.
Yeah, I get that part of it, but I don't really think it's all that.
But what happens is, I guess it's about an American writer who witnesses a murder at a museum.
I've run through it over and over again. I can't get it out of my head, but I can't manage to pin it down either.
Let me finish. He isn't even Italian, and you're making him risk his life. Somebody's already tried to kill him once.
Julia.
And what makes you so sure they won't try again? You're blackmailing him. Look out behind! Ah!
And the way that shot is very strange because he gets stuck between these 2 glass doors. And Argento thought this was really stylized. He was tripping out in his head. He's like, oh, he's stuck in an aquarium, or it's like a bird in a cage, and they're witnessing something, and he can't get out. And it's okay. But he witnesses the girl die, and then because he's a witness of the murder, police make him stay in Italy, and he becomes stalked by the serial killer himself, and it becomes a mystery. But I love the way that it's done. It's not a super gory film. The soundtrack is really good. Who did the soundtrack? Let me see. Yeah, it's also by...
Can't to pronounce it.
Ennio Morricone.
Ennio Morricone.
The same guy. His first film, he got that guy to do the soundtrack. That's great. And it's shot, the director of photography, another name I can't pronounce, but he did Apocalypse Now, Last Tango in Paris, The Last Emperor, and Ishtar.
Oh, boy.
So, he's good. But, yeah, this movie, 1970, his directorial debut, just a nice low-budget thriller, very well shot, good soundtrack, great suspense, good acting. That makes my number 5.
Now, I like that movie too, but it did not make my list.
Okay.
And it was not the first Argento movie I'd ever seen, but I did get around to seeing that. So I don't really have a lot to say about it. I don't even really remember as much as you did. So
that's funny. I don't recall that, but I'm sure it's obviously.
Sorry.
All right, Dan. So I was correct again on number 5. What'd you get for number 4?
You were not correct again on number 5.
I was correct, yes.
All right, my number 4 is Sleepless.
Sleepless. Another weird choice from you.
No, but it's a good one. This had some of the most original murders you've ever seen.
Moretti, che cosa si è messo in testa? Di inquinare le prove?
Non mi permetterei mai.
Yeah, there were some cool kills. The special effects are all right, but they almost, some of the close-ups are too much. You can see that it's rubbery. But I like the idea.
I do too.
Particularly the cello kill.
Sono premeditati.
Now, I don't remember much about the cello kill, so enlighten me. I remember
I just remember this girl getting face fucked by a goddamn cello, right? Smashing over and over in her damn mouth, busting up her teeth and jaw, and it's disgusting. It's like, what a way to go, getting smashed with a frickin' blunt metal instrument with all these frickin' gadgets coming out. Slam, slam, busting up your whole grill. It's disgusting. But that prop, sometimes like the prop, I think if they would have had more, if they would have cut more rapidly or shown a farther shot, some of the close-ups on that scene, there's just a little too much. But the idea of it, most people will probably look away and the effects will be there, but we're always kind of looking for the gag because, we're fellow magicians or whatever. And you're just looking for it. And it's like, oh, that's a prop I can see. I think it was a particularly good kill. And, of course, the train sequence in the beginning is epic. I thought the soundtrack to the train scene was off. However, the shots were really cool. I'm getting ahead of it, and we should talk about what it's about. What the hell is it about? I know Max von Sydow is doing something.
Yeah, von Sydow is playing a retired police detective. And apparently, during his time as a detective, he was trying to find a serial killer who was killing people, obviously. So now he's retired, and it's been like 17 years, and all of a sudden, this guy's resumed his killing spree. So Max von Sydow, I can't say his name, dude.
Do we have the correct pronunciation of your name?
Max von Sydow. I got that one.
We'll just call him Max for now. Okay, so Max and I'm trying to think, was Stefano somebody? Was it like a sidekick, somebody who was trying to be a detective? But they're trying to track this guy down. That's basically what the movie's about.
Yeah, some young kid is his sidekick. And this movie was shot also by Ronnie Taylor. This is the last movie he shot, which is interesting. He did, he's a cinematographer for Gandhi, and he also did opera. He did Sea of Love. Anyway, he's a good cinematographer. Strange that this is his last movie.
I didn't even know it was his last. I was just remembering the chick that got her fingers cut off in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to reach for the doorknob, and guys all hacks her fingers off.
That was a good gag. The knife in this movie is beautiful.
It's a brutal one. I mean, this is one you take out hunting and stuff. It's just a big, ugly knife.
Nice and shiny. But yeah, I wouldn't make it on my list. I like it, though. It was getting closer to where I think his films were getting worse, some of the production quality. But it was nice to see Max von Sydow in it. I think his like handsome little like beautiful assistant kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty boy.
I don't remember much of him. I mean, I did see this movie a very long time ago, but it had an effect, and I'm thinking about digging it out. I'm sure I have it somewhere.
That's funny. I don't recall that, but I'm sure it's obviously.
I just think I'd like to see it again.
Well, for my number 4, I picked 1975's Profondo Rosso, a.k.a. Deep Red over here, or also known as Deep Red, The Hatchet Murders. All the titles are good, just like the movie.
Deep Red. It'll put you into deep shock.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I like that movie.
There's 2 different cuts of the movie. The uncut version has a little more gore, but it also has this more subplot going on with this gay guy who's the son of the murderer. And what it's about is, after witnessing the murder of a famous psychic, a musician teams up with a feisty reporter, played by Dario Nicolodi. This is where Dario Argento met her, who would become his future ex and the mother of his 2 children. So they join forces and they try to track down a killer while evading attempts on their own lives by this unseen assailant who is bent on keeping a dark secret buried.
You have killed. And you will kill again.
You're getting closer and closer to the most unnatural kind of death.
There's a bunch of strange scenes where Argento he has his trademark where he does these close-up pans of knives and the black glove and the guy kind of putting on eyeliner and getting ready for the kills. And also in all Argento films, every time you see the black glove, it really is Argento's hands. All the time as you see somebody cutting someone's throat or something, it's Argento's hands. Dario Argento also does all the blood for all of the own films. He paints it on the dead people himself.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, he likes to be all cryptic and weird. So when it's the death scene, when the people are laying down, he actually puts a splatter on. He doesn't have Sergio Stivoletti or anyone do it. He goes and does that, and he likes to have the cameos of his hands in all of his movies. All of them.
Beyond shock.
What was that?
Beyond horror, into total terror. Murder runs wild. Blood runs cold. Deep red.
Pretty weird. That's like his, Sam Raimi has the car. That's his cameo.
Yeah, Raimi has the car. Hitchcock always showed up somewhere. Yeah, trademark. But I didn't realize that was his hands in the gloves.
One of the things that I love about this movie, too, which you can also see in Stendhal Syndrome, is that he uses art a lot in this movie. One of the things that's mysterious about it is there's a strange painting that represents something about the killer's past, and then there's this strange painting that's hidden behind a wall that he finds that the killer drew as a kid, and then you're trying to decode. And then he saw this murderer hiding over there, but the murderer is actually standing by a mirror that was reflecting a painting, and the killer's face is hidden in the painting that was reflected in the mirror. You know, just all this weird, like, fucking art stuff. And then the painting in the wall, there's something behind that wall, and there's a hidden room, and there's dead people in there, or a dead person. It's just all this, the mystery is great.
The conjecture is that an act of bloodshed was once committed in that house.
And the soundtrack by Goblin is awesome. The style, when this guy goes and explores this mansion, kind of this creeped out mansion where the killer originally lived, it's just really artfully done. There's something about this movie that is creepy, just with the childish paintings. And also the murders, the kills in the scene, I like, because I think he was trying to do stuff that we could relate to as far as some of the deaths. He points that out as well, because one of the women, even though this is kind of ridiculous, right? She drowns in a boiling bathtub, but I don't understand why the fucking water's boiling.
I don't either.
Right?
I don't remember.
Like her whole face comes out with boils all over and everything. And then another man's face is rammed into the corner of a table repeatedly. He's just like ripping his teeth out and stuff. But Argento,
painful to watch.
Right, Argento's trying to pick things that we could relate to. We've all been burnt by hot water. We've all bumped into the corner of a table. So he wants to pick little death things, stuff that we can relate to, that we go like, ouch, that's got to suck.
You can't even imagine.
Yeah. I agree with you. This is a very good movie. It's probably maybe the third or fourth Argento movie I'd ever seen. Mm-hmm. And much like others, I liked how it was styled, the coloring. He took a lot of time to figure out what was going to be in the background. Honestly, it took me a while to figure out what was going on because, like you said, there was all this artistic stuff, the paintings, the hidden paintings, the mirrors.
Yeah.
For me, it was a bit much back then, but I saw it a couple times. I figured it out, and I like it, but it's not on my list.
Right.
It's been on my list, but I traded it out because my next three they're solid.
Oh, stop talking shit.
So I was correct again on number 4. What's your number 3, Dan?
My number 3 is Inferno.
I do not know what price I shall have to pay for breaking what we alchemists call silentium.
Excellent. Not on my list.
Not at all.
That was the toughie for me.
That was the one that you had to fight for?
Oh, I just felt like I was doing something wrong. It was like I knew I shouldn't be doing this, but
should be ashamed of yourself.
I don't know, for some reason.
That's what I felt like with Deep Red, dude. I had to make a choice. I let it go. I knew I was going to catch shit for it.
But
go ahead.
Well, first you go ahead and talk about it. I'll describe why I didn't make my list later.
All right. So Inferno. This is the second movie in what's supposed to be a trilogy about a coven of witches. And just like Suspiria, which is the first one, this is yet a different type of school where the witches have control of it. It's got a lot of memorable scenes. The opening scene is a ton of like feral, crazy cats that just rip a dude apart. I mean, that's
hilarious.
Yeah.
The sound effects are just drop dead hilarious, and you can see these cats just getting hurled on this guy.
Uh-huh. Can you imagine how much fun that must have been? But yeah,
and the lighting too is so overdone. That's one of my beefs with the movie. That's my major beef. It's just so extreme, especially even in that cat scene. It's extremely pink and like extremely blue.
Who lives in this damned house?
Someone.
Right. Well, he was all about primary colors, but the blue got a little obnoxious, I'll be honest with you.
You can feel that the light is right there beside the camera. Bright blue. So intense.
So this story, you got another kid who's attending the school and noticing that there's something odd going on. I don't even remember why the guy was there. I just remember getting eaten up. But for me, the movie was...
the cat guy?
3. Yeah. Why
no,
was
he's
he
the
there?
one... Okay, so there's the girl in the beginning, and she has the book, and she's trying to escape some people that are following her because she had the book, and she's going back to the bookstore and talking to the guy about what was in the book. And it says something about the key is in the basement.
There are mysterious parts in that book, but the only true mystery is that our very lives are governed by dead people.
Or something. And then she goes under there, and that's where she finds that weird puddle. And she goes underwater, and there's this whole big room down there.
Yeah, it's like a submerged room.
Yeah, there's this room underwater. She goes down there, and apparently she can hold her breath longer than Tom Cruise. And she's just hanging out. She's like, she dropped her key down there, and she has to go fully submerged and just go down. It's the weirdest scene ever. And, I mean, I tried to hold my breath while I was watching it, and there's just no fucking way.
Yeah, she's down there for a really long time. I mean, the underwater shots were great, but at the same time, even I was wondering, it's like, you got to be breathing something. You can't hold your breath this long. Nobody can. But the movie is full of scenes like this. Underwater shots. That part underneath the castle where the walls are like, they're almost cave-like, but like with weird plant growth and shapes you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the movie's beautiful to look at.
It definitely is. And then one of the witches, I got to be honest with you, she was like all skeletal in a cloak. It kept reminding me of the Misfits.
Yeah, it kind of had this He-Man vibe to it.
Yeah,
it was too much.
It was too much, but again, the movie.
But again,
was
it was 1980.
Yeah,
so it kind of fit.
It fit
this weird rock and roll thing.
Exactly. So.
And speaking of rock and roll, the soundtrack in this one, instead of using Goblin, he has Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And in the 80s, this was a really big deal. I guess Argento was a fan of the band, and he saw them perform live, and he said that he saw Keith Emerson. This is in World of Horror, by the way, I think. And he saw Keith Emerson playing live and jamming knives in between the keys of the piano, and he just thought, this guy has to do the soundtrack. So he literally gave him carte blanche and said, go for it.
This is
it's a different soundtrack.
Yeah, it's one of the few movies that Goblin didn't handle the music for him.
I feel that was missing for me.
Yeah.
I thought the piano was just like, man, it just sounds like a piano loop to me. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. I thought there's just much more going on in the background of the textures of Goblin's music as far as the song evolves more. It just seemed a little more repetitive to me with the piano. But whatever. And then there's just a lot of the like those kind of choir women.
Yeah, that actually, I don't like that part of it.
Yeah, that got on my nerves a little bit. But one of my favorite scenes, the guy gets stabbed in the throat, and the knife comes out the other side.
I was about to say, I remember that.
That was a great kill. Also, the narration to it is pretty cool. But okay, now
I don't remember the narration, but I do remember these two guys getting skewered with spears or something. I can't remember why they were being killed, but like.
Oh, and I remember the kid in the classroom when he's starting to get these weird vibes. The little witch girl, and that she's like hot looking with the strange cat. She just stares at him.
I know.
It's the funniest shot. It looks so bizarre.
So what was your number 3?
What is it?
My number 3 is Tenebrae.
Oh, good choice.
1982. The story in this one is great. It's a crime mystery, It's about an American novelist on a promotional tour in Europe who finds his most recent book has inspired a copycat serial killer. When the psychotic impulse becomes irresistible, does freedom await in the simple act of annihilation? There's a great twist to the story. The actor's really good. The copycat murders are just insanely over the top. It has one of the best, just painting the screens red with blood. When this woman is sitting by the window and an axe comes down. It's one of the most popular scenes that people cut to. It's in some music videos, and when people talk about Dario Argento, they tend to cut to the scene where her arm gets chopped off, and she just sprays blood
everywhere
all over this white wall, and it's really good. There's a great axe murder. And there's a lot of perversion that goes on in this movie. I forget the relevance of it.
Filthy, slimy.
You're constantly wondering who the copycat killer is, and the twist at the end is brilliant. And everything comes together, which actually makes the movie good for a second view.
I wish I'd never written that book.
You don't mean that.
I've made charts. I've tried building a plot the same way you have. Tried to figure it out, but I just have this hunch that something is missing. A tiny piece of the jigsaw. Somebody who should be dead is alive, or somebody who should be alive is already dead. Explain that.
Because you can see all the things, there's foreshadows and stuff that leads up to the answer of what happens, how they fake you out at the end, and I love the ending scene with Dario Nicolodi screaming. Plus, the soundtrack rocks.
It did. I don't remember the movie as well as you do. I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched that one.
And they have this, it's kind of interesting because they have a lesbian couple in it.
Oh, God.
So he was doing this stuff before it was popular. He has a gay guy in Deep Red, and then there's this lesbian couple in 1982's Tenebrae. And also, one of the scenes I love is the dog attack.
Yep, we're both animal lovers on that one.
They speed up the footage a little bit, but that damn, what is it, a Greyhound or something?
Yeah.
A Doberman.
Doberman.
Right? That Doberman can act. I'm so scared for that chick running away. It's so well done, and there's these beautiful, perverted, dreamlike sequences where this guy is on the beach getting, I don't know, seduced and humiliated or something sexually by this chick in high heels. It's weird. You remember those scenes?
I don't. Actually, I do not.
Remember the movie too well, huh?
No, I honestly don't.
Oh, God. Please help me.
I just
Man, you got to see it. It really does rank it at number 3. Screenplay by Dario Argento, just written by him. I think this is when he was still at his prime, and this one's just a return to Giallo. Spy. He was really at his prime when he was writing these movies, when he was younger, in the beginning. Mystery stories. It unfolds well. Tenebrae, number 3. All right, Dan.
And I need to let you know, Tenebrae did not make my list.
I can tell already.
Yeah.
Because you've been on the wrong path for a while.
Oh, no. You've been on the wrong path.
And I have to send you into recovery.
You know, but the funny thing is you put our list together and you got the 14 top movies.
Yeah, we're discussing them all more, so it works out.
All right, so my number 2, Opera.
Opera. You know what?
Loved it. Not on your list.
My number 2 is Opera.
We finally hit one. Look at that.
Wonderful!
I think we're going to agree from here on out.
I think so too. I would be surprised.
No way your number 1's not the same movie. Suspiria, right?
Suspiria. Number 1 is Suspiria. It has.
So we might as well just go ahead and we know now. So we agree.
We agree on two
right.
movies. All right. So for those of you who haven't seen Opera, Opera is yet another killer on a rampage, but this is happening in an opera house.
Terror at the Opera. The final note is a real killer.
And for me, this had some of the most memorable death scenes ever. My favorite being the chick that looked through the keyhole knowing the killer was out there, and you get a beautiful shot from behind her, and you just see the back of her head explode because the dude shoots her through the eyeball.
Right, and that's Dario Nicolodi too.
Uh-huh.
And see, I think I made a mistake because I said her last movie was in Phenomena, but she actually returned for Opera to get shot in the head.
You know, if you got to kill somebody, she's the go-to girl.
And she's on that documentary, Eye for Horror, where she's talking about it, going, this is very strange having my ex having in the scene where they're attaching explosive to the back of my head.
Yeah.
He's going to shoot me through the eye.
But another part of that scene is we got a slow motion of the bullet coming through and hitting the eyeball. And
right through the peephole.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, that just wowed me.
Come on, open it. The maniac's in the apartment. Quickly.
Why should I trust you? You could be the maniac.
I'm a cop, damn it. I'll show you my identification. Here. Look, can you see it?
No. No, I can't.
Wait a second. There, now you can see it.
Anyone could get one of those. It's a fake.
And the whole shot, it's important to recognize this murder scene. Because the shot through the peephole is great, and then you see the gun go right there, and then they do the shot through the side of the door, so you can see the bullet traveling in slow motion through one side of the peephole, out the other, and then slow motion through her eye, out the back of her head, and then this back shot in slow-mo as the gun destroys the only workable phone inside the apartment that they're in, where the girl is are just screaming, like he just fucking annihilated everything. He's like, I'm coming in.
You know, at that point, you just saw, was it her mother? Was she playing the mother?
I believe it's her mother or some sort of opera assistant. I forget.
Whoever it is, you just saw them get their brains blown out and the killer killed the phone. That's
Right.
an oh fuck moment right there. You're just like, damn it. I can't cut a break in this movie.
No, not the gun. I want to see your face again.
The other two scenes that I found most memorable is of course the one that anytime you see the name Opera, you see this chick with needles taped under her bottom eyelid so that every time she blinks, she's stabbing her top eyelid.
Right.
I have this thing, I don't like eyeball injuries. It just freaks me out. So for me, this was like painfully
first up,
too long.
We gotta explain what it's about. Is about a young opera singer who's doing Macbeth, and she's being stalked by a deranged fan, and the deranged fan turns out to be someone who is with someone else who did Macbeth, or was it her mother?
I'm thinking it was her mother.
I think it was her mother, and she was doing Macbeth as well. And they were into some sort of weird S&M thing, where they got off on killing and did some because he's all into bondage. And so anyway, he's stalking the daughter of the mom who's dead, and she's unaware of it. And what he's doing is tying her up. He's like drugging her and knocking her out. Then he ties her up and tapes needles under her eyes, and he kills her lover and her friends in front of her, kind of in order to get her sexually aroused and on his team.
It's not true, you're frigid. You're a bitch on heat.
Okay, I did not remember that.
Yes. And, I mean, at the end, he wants to leave with her, and he wants her to be with him. So, it's really strange.
That is really strange.
She is the captive audience. They are the unrehearsed players. Evil is the true star. And no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to close your eyes.
Also, what Argento was doing with the subject matter was he was joking around after a screening of one of his movies about how he was pissed off that people would always look away during the gore scenes, and those scenes took him the most time, and those are the most important scenes to him, and how he wished he could just force the audience to keep their eyes open and pay attention and actually watch those scenes. And he started to think of ways to do it. So yeah, he came up with taping needles under their eyes, and he jokingly said that.
Take a good look. If you try to close your eyes, you'll tear them apart. So you'll just have to watch everything.
And then that became a theme, and almost because this was a return for him. It was 1987, and I forget what he had done after that, but this was kind of a return to the giallo and a big statement, because Argento had also tried to make his own play of Macbeth.
What the hell's going on?
And they refused to let him do it. So he wrote this movie, and the lead director is based on him in real life.
Wow, that's good to know. I had no idea.
Yeah, and it's strange, too, because the director, at one point he goes to the lead actress something about, is it true that all you vocalists have sex before you perform? And she was like, oh, why do you always like have to jump us in this like stereotype and stuff? And she was like, how about you? Is it always true that directors have sex before they perform? And he said something like, oh, I always jerk off before I shoot a scene. And I'm just all, and then Argento's all, that's the character that I wrote that's like me. And he did it again. Like he said that about Trauma, and it's a girl puking doing drugs. Then he's like, oh, it's this guy. And he's like, oh, I always jerk off before I shoot a movie.
Filthy little freak.
That's crazy.
But so yeah, he was rejected to making an opera, and later, after Dracula 3D, he actually went on and made Macbeth, an opera, in Italy. And it's available on DVD, on Blu-ray. Live opera.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
There was a big thing. Yeah, they wouldn't let him direct an opera. And he ended up making Phantom of the Opera and opera, all because of this. It was like the one thing he couldn't do. He ended up doing it, and nobody seemed to give a fuck, I don't think, at least. It was only in Italy. I didn't hear much about it. I was like, why isn't he making movies? Looking it up, and then I found that he did an actual opera. And nobody told me. I felt weird. Why isn't Bloody Disgusting talking about this or something? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this movie also had another trademark of his. Use of animals. The crows.
Yes.
The crows who actually know who the killer is.
Puedo matarte,
Cuando quiera.
Because up to this point, we don't know yet. So yeah, the crows get released in the opera during the opera, and they're flying around, and it almost got dizzying. It was a long scene, but they basically found the guy and then started pecking at him.
Right, and they made that damn camera rig, which, I mean, everyone says that was the greatest shot, but I think, what a waste of money.
Yeah.
You see that thing? They got this fucking huge camera crane coming out the center of the opera with this crazy arm so they can swing the camera around the people's heads like it looks like the bird. Wow.
I get the idea of the bird's eye view, but it made me dizzy. It was kind of like, it's too much. I loved it. It was cool, but it was too much.
I would have just taken a lightweight camera and put it on a pole and swung it around for quick shots or something. He made a crazy mechanical rig. He keeps doing that. He did that in Tenebrae, too. He made this long shot that goes over the damn whole building. It takes forever. I mean, it's a cool idea, but I don't know. Kind of unnecessary, too.
Somebody says go ahead and do that crazy shit.
The total reason that opera is number 2 on this list is because the whole movie is so fucking visually stunning. It's outrageous. The shots of the crow's eyes and just the way everything's lit. It's perfect. It has a great flow to it, and it's a complete return to his high-level movies.
Agreed.
Yes.
So you want to talk about Suspiria now?
Number 1.
Number 1.
Suspiria, 1977. Jessica Harper stars as Susie Bannion, a young American ballet dancer who arrives at a prestigious European dance academy run by a mysterious Madame Blanc and Miss Tana. But when a series of bizarre incidents and horrific crimes occur, they turn the school into a walking nightmare of the damned. Susie must escape the academy's unspeakable secret and supernatural evil.
You are way into this.
In this bone-chilling, terrifying Suspiria movie. Awesome witch movie. And you know what? Speaking of witches, man, they fucking think The Witch is so good. How about this is a great witchcraft movie? And it's cool because this is the first film that Argento did where it's not a black glove killer. And I'm so glad that Dario Nicolodi could get him out of that genre and force him into something else where he could really let his stylistic side take over. And I think that the cinematographer really jumped on board going, wow, we're making this fantasy, supernatural thriller, supernatural, man. We can do whatever we want with the lighting. Supernatural powers are taking over. They're running amok in this building. Lighting's going crazy. Look at the fucking wallpaper. These goddamn witches have been alive for a long time. They're all arty-farty, man.
Hey, you've been around that long, you get some culture.
Yeah, these buildings have been constructed a long time ago. Yeah,
I love the buildings that they pick for these movies. They're always grand. Not just the Witches trilogy, but in every movie it's like there's some badass house, some amazing old building. I love that stuff.
And there's always secret corridors and shit.
Always.
Like in this, it's awesome at decoding. Turn the blue one. The iris. Turn the blue one.
The iris is a flower that will mean the end of it.
All the witches have these secret rooms. That's why the buildings are so damn big. That's not cement. Those are secret rooms. Don't lean on that wall. It's just plywood. Just bust into another room. There's ways into rooms. You just move the wallpaper and shit.
Yeah.
Door handles are pieces of the wallpaper.
Anybody who's not looking for it won't see it. It's hidden in plain sight.
But I love it. This Italian movie towards the end, too, just when the witch is all, get that bitch of an American girl. I think it's pretty cool.
We must get rid of that bitch of an American girl. Vanish. She must vanish. Make her disappear. Understand?
Kill the foreigner. Yeah, Suspiria is a legend, and it changed film and affected so many different directors.
This is the movie that I knew Argento from. I've based everything that I've seen to this movie, and I was young. It just impressed the hell out of me. I wasn't even into filmmaking at that point.
Suspiria, that changed my life, kind of.
Was that like your first movie that you saw of his, or?
I don't know. I was a teenager, and I was still in my parents' house when I watched it in my bedroom. And, you know, it was midnight or something. And it creeped me out. It generally creeped me out. And there were things in it that I kind of related to. Snores were never the same after this movie. And also footsteps got me. Because this movie, there's some scenes where they count the
number of steps.
The teachers walking to other rooms and the steps above them. And they can count the number of steps and decode what rooms they're actually going to.
Hey, listen. There they go, right on schedule. The teachers, remember? Can you hear them? They're going away.
Well, again, this was the very first in what's supposed to be a trilogy of a witch coven.
The Three Mothers.
Three Mothers, thank you.
In the beginning, there were three mothers, the same as there were three fates and three furies.
But yeah, again, this is a girl who's attending a school, and it's like in this really big castle-like building. The people running it are very strict. These are young girls, you know, they want to go out and do stuff. But this one girl keeps noticing these strange little things, and she's starting to explore the school like at night when she shouldn't be. And she's, you know, basically getting herself into trouble. I remember this movie mainly because of the use of primary colors in the lights. You'll have scenes where everything's red. Then you'll have scenes where you got blues and reds splashed in. There's even this really great scene. Greens, and a scene where everything is so yellow it's like it's golden. That's what attracted me to this. It's not like I'm big into the primary colors. I've just never seen anybody light a set like that before. And to me, it created an atmosphere almost menacing that didn't even quite exist yet.
You know, a lot of people, for some reason, critically compare it to Snow White and stuff. I'm not sure why they do that, but
why
there
would
is
they?
I do see like a reference to him creating kind of this fantasy element to it. It does take you out of it, but it's not abrasive like it is in Inferno. It's just there, almost like a character. It's more like it's breathing. Something, the color is alive and it's there. And at first it doesn't come off too strong. You can tell right in the airport scene he has these great cuts and close-ups of things cutting away as, you know, the doors open and the water and things. And then when she gets in the cab, he uses all this wonderful lighting to represent that she's moving down there, but it gets really colorful. And then when we go to this, I guess it's an apartment building. The place is just massive and beautiful. It's just like, pinkish, reddish building with all these triangles and just strange. The elevator's rad and the opening kill just floors you.
Yeah.
And it's also strange because it takes you out of it. I mean, this hand comes out of a window, but they're up there on like the second or third, fifth floor, whatever they are. They're up there. And so how does it come through the window? And then it's disjointing because the person that he's killing is going through these different rooms. And then all of a sudden she's above, you know, the center of the apartment complex.
Yeah, like the foyer, she's above that, and then you know, like you said, the first kill is gruesome.
And then she ends up falling through in this amazing hanging sequence, and the sound effect of this crazy whistling sound and the snag of the hanging, accompanied to the Goblin soundtrack, is just, you're floored. It's one of the best opening kill scenes ever.
You do not know what he is capable of.
And we got to see what they're going to try and do in the opening with the remake of Suspiria.
I'm very interested in. I'm hoping they don't blow this because Suspiria is a movie that stands on its own. I'm excited that they're thinking about doing it or that they're going to do it, but I'm also scared. It's done.
It's already wrapped. Yep.
Wow.
So,
well, let's talk.
But the thing is, I think you can't. Suspiria isn't. It's about the locations, pretty much. It has a vibe because of that. Everything looks so awesome in it.
And it looks so big.
Back.
Everything's so big. I mean, the hallways are, you know, they're tall, they're wide, and with the music, it's even though this movie, I call it a slow burner because it takes a little time to get a momentum to where you're actually starting to get creeped out. But they start building the tension when nothing's really even happened yet. You already know there's something really wrong. But you know, so we follow this girl as she's trying to find out what's going on, and some of the rooms are just crazy. I think there's like one that's got snakes or vines all over the wall, and it's red, and everything else is so dark. But my favorite room is the razor wire room.
Oh, that scene is so awesome.
Oh my gosh, it's basically not even a room; it's a pit that's full of razor wire, and this chick falls into it, and the more she moves, the more she gets cut up. And we're not talking barbed wire, razor wire. That stuff will, cut you to the bone right away.
And the scene is so well done with her being afraid in that room as the guy's picking open the lock, and her constructing this sort of ladder out of luggage and boxes to stand on just to leap into this room of razor wire. Still, like in retrospect, you're like, oh, bitch, look down. But still, it's such a great payoff. Just boom, and then the sound hits, and then a hand comes out of nowhere, and we see this neck slice that is so... it's the best throat cut I've ever seen in a movie. I don't know what it is. It looks like shark flesh or something. It looks like real skin to me.
It looked pretty convincing.
And this movie also was shot by the same guy who did Tenebrae, and he seems to do a couple of shots in the same movies that have the light bulb. There's a shot that goes up in Suspiria that comes up and she turns off the light, and it turns all green, and then it slowly dollies down. Then they also have that epic shot in Tenebrae where the Dario Argento's hand actually with the razor blade cuts the light bulb and breaks it.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah! Also worth noting, this movie is co-written by his girl, Daria Nicolodi.
Nicolodi.
Damn it. And what's interesting is I found out that it was also based on the writings called Suspiria de Profundis by this guy named Thomas de Quincey. And it was written in 1845. It's a collection of short essays. And it says that Argento also used something called Lavana, Our Ladies of Sorrow, a lot for it. And there's something, Suspiria de Profundos. Anyway, the guy who wrote this was totally addicted to opium. And he burnt a lot of his writings while he wrote it. He was addicted to burning stuff as well, which is interesting because there's Inferno. He said like half of his book is burnt. They couldn't find. Like I was reading this thing about it, and it's all these stories were burnt, and these are the titles of them that sound really awesome. He would catch things on fire, like his hair and his writings and stuff.
Wait, he torched his own hair?
He'd burn things, I guess. He's like a pyro, including his
crazy.
own. He'd write stuff and burn it.
You get them addicted, and on they go.
And then, like, the writings that were salvaged back in 1845 is this thing called, whatever it was called. Where is it? Suspiria de Profundis. And he was all strung out on opium. And I was like, let's base it on that. Anyway, I don't know where it is. I haven't read it or anything, but interesting fact.
It is very interesting, and this is why you don't get hooked on opium. Because you just start burning all your shit.
Well, that was good. There it goes.
Yep. No, it's gone now. Guess I got to write something new. There's one more scene I want to talk about. Crazy lady. She's like all cut up, all bloody. You know the one I'm talking about?
The one at the end?
Yeah, at the end. They shot that with a blue filter, and it looked just scary as hell.
Yeah.
Because I've seen pictures of it without being lit that way, and then pictures of it lit that way, and I'm just like, oh my god, that is not the way to look.
They did something in Technicolor where they could strip away colors.
Okay.
While they were printing the movie. And back then in 77, it was a new technique. They were actually able to sort of wash the film. They explain it in World of Horror a little bit, but they were able to get some of the colors out.
It really put an effect to the movie. That was like a terrifying looking scene because she just looks so crazed. And of course she finds the first mother, uses her own knife against her.
One of the things I love about it too is just, I think everyone who likes films has a certain love for 70s movies. And this just really has a great 70s quality and the big 70mm widescreen, very well shot. The dubbing is kind of bad, but it's also really good. The story's good. Just the way the film looks and has that 70s feel. You have to be ready for it. It's a foreign horror film that's artfully done.
The only thing more terrifying than the last 12 minutes of Suspiria.
It's an art house movie.
Yeah, and not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah, some people aren't going to like it because these little girls are talking all the time. Like, what is going on with the witches? What are you? She's talking in her sleep. You know, whatever. Where do they go at night?
So when are they going to release the remake of Suspiria? Do we know?
Probably like right when this comes out or something. I know they're done. And what I've heard is, I know Tilda Swinton's in it, and she's playing one of the witches. I know the girl that is replacing Jessica Harper is going to be, what's her name? The girl who's in 50 Shades of Grey? She's in this. Oh, there it is. Dakota Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think she's perfect for it. She's a good actress, and she looks like Jessica Harper enough. And I also read that it's not really a remake, it's more of a love letter to Suspiria. And I'm saying prove it, because the director made something called like The Big Splash or something. He never made a horror movie. I don't understand why they gave it to him. And then he's saying that that was a big, here it is, I'm going to find out who the fuck's doing this shit right now.
Yeah.
Are you all right, Kevin?
Yeah, get me the details.
Okay, the guy is doing his name, Luca. Okay, fucking.
I just want you to look it up so you...
Gadiato. All right. Yeah, he made A Bigger Splash. You know that one, right?
No.
And he also made I Am Love.
No.
What? He made a movie called Melissa P.
No.
All right, the director of... Oh, and he made another one called Call Me By Your Name.
Nope, never heard of any of this.
So how to wrap it up? Those are our recommendations, kids. If you're going to watch Argento films, pick some of those. But go for my list. Don't really listen to Dan.
No.
Just go. I mean,
Short
if
of
you
the
want
first two, Kevin's been wrong. But I'll tell you
He's
this.
just choosing... I'm choosing stuff, too, because of plot and more because of visual stuff. He's just going for special effects.
Not always, just mostly.
Yep. That's what you did. You picked the ones with the special effects scenes that you liked.
I got better advice. Put the two lists together, and you've got, like, a perfect viewing list of Argento movies.
You got a lot going on. And we saved you from about 13, because there's a bunch you don't want to see.
No. And by the way, I'll be the first one to bring it up. The third in the trilogy, Mother of Tears, don't bother. I don't even know why that went wrong, but it went south so fast.
It's depressing.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh, that would have made me even madder. That would have made me as mad as when I went to see that asshole movie, The Witch. God, I was so pissed in that movie theater.
I saw it in the theater, too.
Yeah. Nobody that was there at the time liked it. We all started talking shit to the screen. That made it fun.
I saw Suspiria in the theater, and it was rated R, the rated R cut. It sucks so bad. It's like, I'll have this movie at home.
See,
By the way, I'm looking at my copy of Suspiria. It's autographed by two of the members of Goblin.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Pretty cool.
Why are you always telling me what you have autographed?
Oh, shit, dude. My copy of Phenomena is autographed by one of the members of Goblin, too.
Here we go.
That's so weird, dude.
Hey, I got all the Goblin CDs, and they're not autographed.
I do, too. I got some of them autographed, also.
Shut up.
I forget which ones, though.
I am officially saying fuck off.
Well, to wrap this up, while I was doing my list of 7, I actually had enough coffee in me that I wrote all of his movies in order that I would like them in. So I'm going to read them off, and then you'll hear all the films that he directed. So, all right, 1 through till the end. 1 through 23.
Yeah.
All right.
Go for
Number
it.
1. Number 1, Suspiria. Opera. 3, Tenebrae. 4, Deep Red. 5, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, 1970. Number 6, 1985, Phenomena. Number 7, 1996, The Stendhal Syndrome. This is getting weird. The next one, 1980, Inferno. And then 94, Trauma. 71, The Cat o' Nine Tails. 2005, Master of Horror, episode Jennifer. 71, Four Flies in Grey Velvet. 2007, Master of Tears, Mother of Tears. 2006, Master of Horror, Pelts. 1990, Two Evil Eyes. I put that way down there.
Yeah, you did.
And then 2001, Sleepless. 2009, Giallo. 98, Phantom of the Opera. 2012, Dracula 3D. 2005, Do You Like Hitchcock? 2004, The Card Player. 1973, La Cynic Gironte.
Never saw that.
1973, his television movies, The Tram, and something else I can't pronounce. I actually did see them.
Testimone Ocular?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? What does it mean?
I have no idea. Ocular is obviously about vision, but I don't know what the other one is.
Yeah. And then at the end, I put The King of Ads. I saw his little segment on YouTube. It was dumb.
I've never watched it.
It gets so depressing once we go past the 7, though, down there. It gets really bad.
It does. What do you think of his Phantom of the Opera?
I tried to like it really bad, but no, it sucks.
I tried really hard to like it. I wanted to like it. Nope.
I pretended to like it for, I think, 2 years or something. I had the poster up for a while. I had the poster up before I saw the movie, and then I saw it.
Well, it was a cool poster, but... Yeah, the movie, it failed. Not everything's going to work. You can't hit it out of the park every time. But, a couple of his movies really went down, and Phantom Opera is one of them.
It was good to see Argento in it, and the rat killing scene was comical. That was pretty funny.
I like the underground lair, with the little river and the boat. I mean, they did a good job on production. It's just, I mean, Phantom of the Opera, it's been done so many different ways, but it's the same story. You can't really change it up.
I didn't like Julian Sands in it.
Which is odd, because I actually like Julian Sands.
I know. He's great.
Yeah, but in this one, no.
With his long hair looking like that, he's strange looking.
I couldn't get past it. I was just like, dude, what? And
I
half the time
mad at him too. He's hitting on my girl, Argento. Stay away from my girl, man.
His hair was immaculately combed through most of it. I'm just like, who spends that much time?
Right. He's got some sort of conditioner in it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's rat oil. So Dario Argento, actually, let's go through this. First off, what he's doing now. His last film was Dracula 3D, and that was pretty bad.
Okay, you know what? It was. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was not good.
Do you hear me, Van Helsing? Evil!
I'll tell you why I liked it, and it never made my list ever. But it's because
I liked it.
Well, okay, I have two reasons then.
Oh yeah, that one too. Huh.
Yeah, first off, they shot it like a Hammer film, and I love the Hammer films, so I liked that right away. And then, yeah, Asia's running around naked in it.
His daughter's boobs
Not
again.
Asia.
Asia Argento, yeah.
Why did you like it?
Why did I like it? Oh, I like the one kill scene where the blonde vampire goes off and kills everyone in that where they're eating or something. He kills like 3 or 4 guys really fast, and that was cool. And I get to see Argento's boobs. Yeah, the gore was good, but I didn't like it. I thought the movie was too bright. I didn't like the way it was lit. Just the stone, it felt cold and cheap. The CGI was bad.
It was very bad. There's a lot that just didn't work. Again, I'm not going to say it would never hit my list. I've seen it once. That was all I needed. I don't own it on DVD, but I think anybody who likes a Hammer movie would probably dig it.
And then, so what's happening recently, or a few years ago, he was trying to get this movie called The Sandman made based on a novel by a guy named E.T.A. Hoffman. And it's got a screenplay written by David Tully. So the screenplay is already written. This guy also wrote the screenplay for the movie, I guess it's pronounced Jinn, directed by Tobe Hooper. It's on Netflix. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I do know about it.
And they've been trying to get it made. They want Iggy Pop to play the killer. And Iggy Pop even made this Kickstarter campaign where he's asking for people to donate money so that he can be the killer in Dario Argento's movie. This is like 3 years ago. And they haven't fucking done it. They didn't. I mean, I guess they're not going to do it. And Argento just officially retired because at this point it's been a long time since Dracula.
He's old. I mean, it's time for retirement.
Yeah.
I've heard of The Sandman, and I know roughly what it's about. But to be honest with you, it sounds almost like every other description of every other Argento movie.
Yeah. Well, I know it's about the killer takes out their eyes. I know that.
Yeah, I know that part of it too. And he wears this weird, I don't know, when you see a picture of it, I can't decide if it's like a cloth mask or a skin. But if he's wearing somebody else's face, I think Leatherface did that first and best.
I don't know. I like that it's based on a novel a little bit. But I don't like that it's written by some guy. I don't like that Argento's not trying to write the screenplay. As he didn't write the screenplay either with Mother of Tears. He has a screenwriting credit on it, but he didn't write that screenplay. He had some kids write that.
Well, there you go. But why did he ever say, yeah, this will work? I don't know.
Because he's trying to make movies. I don't know, but I think I'm pissed off that no one's letting him make Sandman after he made all these other crappy movies. He can get Card Player made. Why can't he get Sandman made? I mean, that should be so easy, even if he shot 16mm or on digital. Like, I mean, he has ties with Troma. Why doesn't Troma even find it? He could go for low budget. If he wanted to make it, I think he should fucking make it. Who's not producing this movie? With Iggy Pop in it? Come on, he got the frickin' Sleepless made.
Exactly, and
whatever.
Exactly, and damn it, I said exactly again.
Exactly. Twice.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to make a point, now I forgot about it. Oh, Iggy Pop. Perfect serial killer. Just perfect.
Yeah.
He got the
I think
look
he'd be
for it.
great.
I think he'd be great. I'd like to see him in more movies. Well, we've done pretty good for Argento. I hope he sends us like free posters and not sign yours, but sign mine. Oh, and I know you got signed posters. Shut up.
I only got 9 things signed by Argento.
Shut up. I know I opened up the door on that one. Just let it go. I don't have any of these autographs that you do.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
Just for our listeners, the one that pisses me off the most, Peter Jackson. And
Right.
on the best poster ever. Which one was it?
I got it on Bad Taste, and I have something on Feebles. It says, kind, feeble regards. Peter Jackson. That's before he was famous.
Yeah.
Man, those were the good old days. Weekend of Horrors was fun when it first started.
Yeah,
Back
it
in
was.
the 90s, it was going off.
We got to talk about this guy because he did so many movies that I guarantee nobody knows. Nobody knew him up till Lord of the Rings. Then now the world knows him, but they don't know that he made it some funny ass sci-fi movies, funny ass zombie movies. I mean, geez, he opened the door for his country as far as filmmaking. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, Dario Argento's the bomb. So I recommend you guys see that, though. Go check out the Dario Argento stuff, and you should have a collection. Argento also helped me get into a lot of other Italian horror filmmakers, especially when I look at the movies that he produced, like Lamberto Bava. I wasn't into Mario Bava until I heard of Dario Argento. I could say I'm not really into Mario Bava that much either. I feel like I should be more, but I've seen a lot of his movies, and it got me into that. Michele Sovi, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got into Argento before I got into Fulci.
I know for a fact I did.
Yeah.
And Fulci was my second Italian director that I just loved his movies. But I was an Argento fan first. And a lot of the people that you're mentioning, you know, people that worked with Argento, I've become fans of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody from the makeup effects guys to the cinematographers to the directors. It really opened up that country's movie making to me. I didn't even know what a giallo was.
Yeah,
for the longest time. And you know, by the way, most of the people listening to this, they don't know what that is. What is it, Kevin? What's a giallo?
Giallo is Italian for yellow. There you go.
That explains it all.
The cover of these books that were released in Italy, and they were all murder mysteries, and I guess they had some sex stuff in there, kind of sexual murder mystery stuff, and they usually had the black glove killer, and it was very popular. Everyone was reading them. And it was called giallo, so that was basically the slang term for it. And people started to turn them into movies and short films.
Yeah, I associated the word giallo with murder mysteries. I didn't know it meant yellow, but now that I know the whole story, I guess now I'm more educated.
Yeah, that's what it means, yellow. And then actually when you see the movie Giallo, it's cool because the killer has jaundice and his skin is turning yellow. I thought that was pretty rad.
Oh, that's a nice way to tie that
That's
in.
why his nickname as a murderer is called Giallo. They call him Giallo.
Because he's got that...
Because he's jaundice and he's yellow. Pretty brilliant. That movie's almost good, and it has Adrian Brody.
Really?
Yep, Adrian Brody's in it with his long hair and his big nose. And he's with this chick who can't really act, but she looks really stern. She seems like more the male than him. You'll see it. It's worth seeing. It has its moments.
I might have to check it out because I have not seen it. I like Adrian Brody, but he literally picks the most eclectic movies ever. I think the biggest mainstream movie I ever saw him in was King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah.
But everything else has been just very eclectic, very
well, he scored
art house.
with his role in The Pianist. He won the Academy Award for that.
Mm-hmm.
You remember he went and kissed Halle Berry?
I remember.
Yeah, that was big news. But more about Argento, what I want to say is one of the reasons I love him is that he wants to be making these movies. At least that's what he says. In some of his interviews, he's so cryptic about it. He says, why do you want to make these movies? He says, to be loved. And they're all, by who? And he's just like, by the people, by the fans. He wants to make horror films like this, and I think he's always been attracted to it. The way he has described some of his writing is strange. He says that he'll wake up in a daze and start writing. He says when he watches his movies, he feels detached and wonders, who even thought of this shit? Like, how did he think it up? And, I don't know. He's just strange. He, really cares about it, and he thinks about murders. and how to do it. And
Well,
he's proud.
Yeah, he should be.
And he also, like, I read in this interview where he was talking about Lamberto Bava and Michele Sovi and his size, it says, and he just said, man, it's such a shame. I don't know where those guys went. Back then, each one of us were coming out with a movie every couple of years, and it seemed like we were a team. And it's true. They were just this horror team going off in the late 90s.
They were.
Yep.
They were, and they were a good team, and but he's right. They just up and disappeared.
Italian television took them. It's just guaranteed money. They're on a TV series, you know?
Got to do what you got to do to pay bills.
Yeah, trying to get a movie off the ground takes too much time. So, well, I guess that kind of wraps up Dario Argento for you kids. Now on to our next subject. Jörg Buttgereit. No.
Oh, that's a nasty one right there.
Who else can't we pronounce? Let's go to Alan Jodorowsky, Jörg Buttgereit, and like someone else.
Olaf Ittenbach.
Yep, Olaf Ittenbach. And we'll have to talk about Fulci at some point. Well, okay. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.
Keep it real.
Real nice!
A film by Dario Argento.